Hi everyone. Today we are going to start our unit on life science. Now life science is the study of living organisms. Can you think of some examples of living organisms? Plants, animals, and us, right? We are all different types of living organisms. Before we get started with today's lesson, I want to show you guys a picture. Here we have a picture of the mom who has just given birth to 12 pups. Now we can't see the faces all that well, but just by looking at the babies, you can see that they don't all look alike. They have different color fur on them, and if we look at them a little bit closer, you can see that the sizes are pretty different too. Now there's a mix of both boys and girls here. So in the next picture, we're going to focus just on the boys. Now here's another picture just of the male puppies. So this dog had 12 pups in total, and 4 of them were boys. And if we look at these 4, well, they don't all look the same either, right? 3 of them look pretty similar. They have light colored fur, but then there's one, the big one, that's kind of red colored, right? He's a little bit bigger and he is much, much darker than the other ones. At 1 week old, this pup is so much bigger than its other brothers. And there's one more thing you notice, right? The color is different. It's got a red coat. The other 3 are kind of white, blondish, but this one's red. How did it become red? The answer to this question is genetics. What is genetics? It's the study of heredity, right? What kind of traits get passed on from not just our parents, but from our grandparents and great-grandparents and many, many generations that came before us. Inside of our body, we all have cells, and inside of those cells, we have something called DNA. Our DNA is our genetic code, and that determines the color of our hair, the color of our eyes, the color of my skin, how tall I'm going to be, and many different other qualities as well. Now, even though I may look a certain way, I may have dark hair and dark eyes, inside of my DNA, I may have a code for maybe blonde hair or red hair, depending on my ancestors before me, my grandparents. If I had a grandmother who had blonde hair, well, even though I don't have blonde hair, it's possible that one of my children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren could get blonde hair. Now, for this lab, you're going to have to go inside of your enrichment bag, and you're going to find 2 plastic bags in there. We're going to need some materials from each of those bags. The first thing you're going to do is take out the bag that's a little bit heavier and bigger, has the soil in there. You're going to reach in and you're going to take the soil. You're going to find 2 manila envelopes. One that says yellow corn, one that says albino corn. The yellow corn goes back in the bag for next week. The albino corn is what we're going to use. And you're going to put this bag to the side. We're going to need to store some things in there. And you have another bag that says gas trap. It's got a sponge and a straw and a thermometer, but it also has a pipette that you're going to use. Now we're going to take the pipette, we're going to use it for this lab, but we are going to also need it for future labs. Now some supplies that you're going to need to provide are plastic cups, or any other container will do. Now I have 4 plastic cups. If you don't have 4, 2 is fine as well. And you're also going to need just some regular water. Once again, just to show you the materials you're going to need, are soil, water, your packet of seeds, the albino corn, your pipette, and 4 different cups. So the first thing you do is you open up your packet of soil, and you can use another cup, or you can just straight pour the soil into the containers. What I'm gonna do is just pour a little bit of soil into each of my containers. You wanna fill it about half. As much as you can, you wanna make sure there's equal amounts in each of these cups. Next, what I'm gonna do, again, making sure that it's albino corn, I'm going to open up my packet and I'm going to confirm I should have 4 seeds. Now, each of these cups will get 1 seed. Now, if you look at them, these are seeds that came from the same parents. They had the same mom and the same dad. And they look pretty similar. Right now, they all look yellow. They all have this little white tip. What we're gonna do is plant them and see if they actually look the same as an actual plant. So what you're gonna do is just place 1 corn in each of these cups. Oops. In the middle is best. And then I'm gonna use my pipette just to bury the corn seed under the soil. And then these seeds, they're alive, but they're not growing yet. And they need one thing to start to grow. Right now, they're in their dormant stage. What is that one thing all living organisms need to start to grow? That's right, it's water. So you're gonna take your pipette. Now we're gonna fill this pipette. This pipette fills up to 3 ml, 3 milliliters. This bulb area will not get full. So don't get worried if you see, oh, I can't fill up my pipette. This part shouldn't be filled. You're just going to get it up to the 3 milliliter mark. Now I'm going to put 15 milliliters. Into my first cup. And I'm going to do the same thing for all of my other cups. So 3 mLs, 5 times in each of the cups. This should be the right amount, but if you notice that your soil is really, really dry and it doesn't look like it's moist and you need to add more, go ahead, add more. Or if you think that you added too much, depending on the size of your container and how much soil you've added, you may want to add less, and that's okay too. But just remember how much you've added. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. You don't want to have any excess water. You want it to look moist, but not too much. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let these cups sit, and depending on the temperature, you're gonna have to judge how much water. Now we're gonna keep these cups in a cool place, maybe indoors behind a window so it gets a little bit of sunlight. And we're going to water it every other day, 15 milliliters. Now again, if you look at it and you see, oh, it's really dry, we're having a really, really hot day, it's completely drying out, add more water. That's fine. The weather's been a little bit unpredictable. And if you see that, oh, it's cool, and there's a lot of water at the bottom, definitely don't add any more, okay? So leave these for about 5 to 7 days, and then we're gonna come back and check and see what happened to our corn seeds. And remember, I told you these are albino corn. Now, let's go over my results. You may look at these cups and wonder, why did I plant so many seeds? Well, if we were back in the classroom, you wouldn't just be looking at your own results, right? You would be able to compare your results to the entire classroom. So what I have done is I've planted seeds for the same number as would be in our class, actually even more. I planted a total of 48 seeds, 2 in each cup. First thing you may see is, wow, a lot of them didn't grow. And I counted, there were 23 that didn't grow, almost half didn't grow. Why could that be? Why is that? Is it something I did? Possible, sure. It's also possible that the corn seed might have been damaged, so it was never going to grow. It's possible that maybe they're slow to grow and they're going to keep growing, so I'm just gonna leave them for a little while. But the only thing that makes me wonder is, if you notice, I planted 2 corn seeds in here, neither one grew. I planted 2 corn seeds in here, neither one grew. Same with these 2. Same with this one and this one. So the cups, it's odd. Either the seeds grew or they didn't. So I think it may have to do with something I did. Maybe the positioning that I had planted the corn wasn't great. Maybe I gave it too much water, or maybe didn't get everything that it needed. But I do believe that some of them may start growing. There's one tiny one that's just starting to grow. Now all the other ones have had a lot, they've all had the same time to grow, but they've gotten a lot taller. So I went ahead and I counted. I had 25 seeds that actually did grow. Out of those 25, 15 of them were green and 10 of them were albino. And if you guys didn't know what albino means, basically white, right? Nice green leaf, as what we normally expect corn seeds to look like. But the albino is a little bit of a genetic mutation, so the leaves are gonna come out white. And all of these cups were placed in the same place, so they got the same amount of water and the same amount of sunlight. And some of them look like they are growing just as well as the green plant. And then the other ones look like they are a little bit shorter. And this one that's really behind, it's really taking its time to start growing. And there's another one here that looks like it's a lot shorter. And there's another one actually here too. Much shorter than all the others. So I'm gonna give this a little bit more time, and I urge you to assess these in 7 days, look at them in 7 days. But if you need to give it longer, maybe 10 days or 12 days, that's fine too. And then do your own count. How many grew? How many did not grow? How many were green? And how many were white? So I just kept one of my trays as a representative of all of the seeds that we planted. And again, if we were to look, I planted a total of 8 seeds here. And out of my 8 seeds, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them were green. 1, 2 didn't grow at all. And there were 2 out of the 8 that were albino or white, just starting to sprout. Now remember, all of these seeds came from the same parents, but do they all look the same? No, they look different. Did they all get the same treatment? Did they all get the same amount of water? Yes. Did they all get the same amount of sunlight? Yes. Did they get the same amount of soil? Yes. So why is it that they look different? Has to do with their genetic code, their DNA. Somewhere in their genetic code, they have the genes for albino, white-colored leaves. And that's why they look the way they do. Now don't forget, there is a worksheet attached to this video. Make sure you complete that and put that in your lab journal.